I just want to do a quick visual introduction because I never know who's in our audience and I want it to be really helpful for people. So, just so you know, I'm a white woman in my early 40s with wavy light brown hair, glasses, and I'm wearing a black shirt with multicolored flowers on it. And Phoebe, Warren, and I are just so thrilled to be here. Warren and Phoebe, would either of you like to do a visual introduction or would you want to pass? It's up to you.
I don't have a problem with it. I am a African American slash Latino mix, male with glasses, blue shirt, and with a beard with salt and pepper at the end.
And I'm Phoebe. I'm a white woman with short dark hair, curly dark hair with a mountain view background behind me today.
Great, great view. Okay, I'm gonna pull up our presentation now and we'll continue. Okay, can everyone see this? Just give me a thumbs up just to make sure that, yeah, we're on. Okay, fantastic. So we are here today to talk to you about creating circles of support. And this presentation is drawn largely upon the Circles of Support manual from Resourcing Inclusive Communities, which is a wonderful organization out of Australia. And I would highly recommend you check them out and go onto their website and you can find their manual, which is really useful. So today's presentation is going to be really practical. We have some stories. It'll be interesting, but we want you leaving today feeling like you know how to start a circle of support and know all the steps entailed in it. Okay, so just a little bit about who we are as Pathways to Friendship. We're a collaborative initiative on social inclusion between the ARC of Massachusetts and the Department of Developmental Services. And our goal is really to address the loneliness and isolation of people with disabilities through looking at the benefits of friendships between people with and without disabilities. So we're not a matchmaking organization. We get that a lot where people go, oh, can you help us find a friend? But really what we are doing is focusing on educating, providing tools and resources. Great. Let me go to our next slide. So Warren is just going to go over the agenda today so you know what to expect.
Well. Hello, everybody, and thank you for allowing us to be here. If you need to, you can move around as much as you need to feel comfortable. So on today's agenda, here's what we're going to present to you. What is the circle of support? Why circles are not happening naturally? The importance of circle of support, whom to invite, strategies of starting a circle of support, running and maintaining a circle of support. And then the last two, we're going to have Q&A, and then we'll have a survey at the end of everything. So we look forward to your feedback. Next slide, please.
Okay, thanks, Warren. So circles of support. They were believed to have been started in the early 1980s by this woman pictured here, Judith Snow. Now, Judith, for those of you who are not familiar with her, was living in an institution in Canada because of her disability, and she was not happy with that situation. She wanted out. Now, thanks to Judith's work with her friends, she was able to move out of the institution into a home of her own with some support and pursued higher education and had a very successful career as a speaker, writer, advocate, and artist. Now, Judith recognized that it was her relationships that played a critical role in changing her life situation. Now, from that experience, she developed this concept of circles of relationships. And circles or relationships are things where, you looked into the different realms of your life and really noticed how we interact in all of them and how we're interdependent in all of these and how social networks and relationships are necessary for all of us. So Judith spoke of these four circles that you can see a picture of here. We have the circle of intimacy, which involves those who are closest to us, our loved ones, our family, our spouses, our really, really dear friends. Then the second circle is a circle of friendship, which are those who we're close with, but not as much as the circle of intimacy, so our friends. Third is circle of participation, which involves people that we interact with in everyday life at work or volunteering or in community groups or faith communities. And then finally, we have the circle of exchange, who are people that are paid to be in our lives and paid to help us. Now, every single one of us has these four circles in our lives. They exist everywhere, and they all provide support for all of us. So these really are circles of support when we are talking about this. So I'm going to share with you, we have a whole bunch of videos as part of this presentation that we did with Cheryl Ryan Chan, who some of you might be familiar with. So we're going to go back and forth to some videos with Cheryl explaining circles of support. Let me know, make sure the
So,
sound is.
what is a circle of support? I like to describe it as in the context of myself or ourselves, those of us without disabilities, because we all have circles of support. We just don't call them circles of support. We all have people that we love, and in our what we call our circle of intimacy, we all have friends who we can count on and who can count on us. We all have people in our lives who are there because of an association, a shared interest, our yoga class partners, the people that we work with at work, people that we worship with. And then we all have people who are paid to be in our lives. Now, those are the four circles that we talk about when we talk in the context of person-centered planning about relationships. But it's a natural thing. We all have them. The truth is, being interdependent is a part of the human experience. We need others in our lives, all of us, for support, for resources, and most importantly, in my opinion, for the sustainability of our joy and dignity. We need to have relationships. That's what makes us human, regardless of our abilities or challenges. So let's bring this concept into normalcy and use it and apply it that way when we're talking about the people that we love.
Okay, Warren.
Okay. Circles of support aren't happening naturally because for many people with disabilities, these relationships are not happening on their own. Many only interact with family or paid staff, leaving a big gap in other circles.
Back to Cheryl for another video explaining about why these circles aren't happening.
The challenge for people with disabilities is that they don't have access to all of the things that you and I do, all the resources, all the opportunities that we're able to seek and find, those that help us naturally build our own circles of support. Things like choosing where we go and when, who we talk to, how we interact, even finding those that we necessarily don't want in our lives. That's just as important. We get to choose all of those things when we don't have the kinds of challenges that the people that we love have. People that depend on others for their safety and daily living are denied all of those opportunities in the system-centered world that we're living in right now. And so this means that the concept of circles of support needs to be approached with intention. Far more intention than what we do naturally. We may need to help our loved ones find and build relationships. We need to make ourselves vulnerable and allow others to come in and invite them in. That's a big ask. That is a big shift from what we're used to doing. And also allow other people who are committed to being part of the circle of support define what their own relationship with your loved one is going to look like. You don't need to dictate that. You don't need to be managing that. Because as caregivers and loved ones, we naturally tend to be more protective. And within that protection, which comes from a place of love, we tend to kind of get in the way of allowing others in.
Okay. So because these circles of support aren't happening naturally, we do need to intentionally create this, right? And we do this by inviting a group of people to help plan and support the goals of the person that we're focusing on. And the circle provides things like advice or problem solving or creative ideas or support, right? But again, we're doing this in a very intentional planning way.
Once again, in terms of the human experience, I think of myself, my circle of support knows me in different contexts. Each person knows me a little bit differently. So when they're included in discussions about who I am, my strengths and my gifts, my needs, and so on and so forth, the things that I don't like, together with the people that I'm most intimate with, they are able to weave a colorful tapestry of my life. The same goes for you. The same goes for every single one of us. And especially for people with disabilities, we need those multiple voices. There's more clarity and focus about a person's dreams and their needs. And we create positive space where relationships can build, even with those we are already close to. And we can even open opportunity for long-term commitments that might sustain beyond us as parents and caregivers. And that is where often I find families begin to understand the concept of circles of support and building those when we start talking about when we're no longer there. The idea that we can leave our loved ones with a group of people dedicated to maintaining the joy and dignity and safety of their lives. That's what circles of support is about. It's for now and for later.
Okay. Warren's going to talk a little bit about what circles cannot do. You're right there, Warren?
Yep, I'm here. I'm sorry about that. Hold on, let me just resize this thing here.
Okay, no problem.
There we go. Oh, I got it. It was on my end. Sorry about the confusion.
I get it. I see what that is.
Okay. All right. So circles cannot replace the role of family, take on the role of services, take care of the focused person on a daily basis. Now, I'm sorry about that, Miss Rachel.
No,
Now,
no, no, you're fine. Go ahead. I was just going to say it's really
okay,
good to understand what circles
this
can
is
and
an
cannot do.
example of what a circle of support would be. It can consist of many different levels. From the right to your left, my gentleman in that picture is also a friend and a PCA worker. As you can see, the second picture next to that is myself and my co-workers, as well as a friend. And my best friend of 25 plus years, when I was out homeless in the streets, she was there for me. Last but not least, my rock, my better half, as I call her, that's my girl. So, when you have a circle of support, these are just some of the examples that you can use. I'm just one of many. So, I won't hold you guys up. Next slide, please.
Okay, so who should be part of a circle of support? So we're getting now to the brass tacks, a little bit of it. So first I would say the person at the center or the focus person, right? The person with disability should be involved in deciding whom to invite. So that's first place you want to start. But aside from that, there's no prerequisites, there's no skill set that people need to have to be in a circle of support. It is really anybody who cares about the focus person and is really dedicated to expanding their life opportunities. So this could be friends, it could be families, it could be neighbors, it could be former staff, it could be people that you work with. So really anyone who's interested. A best practice that we often talk about, though, is inviting some people of a similar age or generation to the focus person. Not only does this let how people their age do things or go about things, right? The ordinary ways that people go about it, but also it ensures the longevity of your circle. So it means that there are people that will still be involved even when caregivers and parents are no longer around. So it's good to have someone of that same generation. Other thing to keep in mind is that being a circle member is a voluntary role. So if current staff are a part of it, they're not doing it in a paid capacity. And we want to make sure all the members of the circle feel like they're on equal footing and don't feel daunted by having a professional present. In fact, we found that oftentimes it's the people that don't work in the disability field that come with really creative, out of the box suggestions that are helpful. Now, I will say there is an exception to this voluntary rule. Sometimes people hire a paid facilitator to help run the meetings and ensure the circle's longevity. And Phoebe will talk about that a little bit later as she has taken on that role for a circle as well. Okay, Warren, do you want to talk about this tool? If we had more time today, we would have you fill this out, but instead we're just going to review it with you.
Okay, so as you can see in the diagram or the picture, sorry for the background noise, I got people working for me today. So whom to invite? The relationship circle map is a useful tool to help figure out whom to put into your circle of support. So you may want to consider people who are involved in the past, like someone like, let's just say for an example, you have a client and they have someone that they went to school with.
Yeah, we'll be ready.
Yes, yeah. So is there someone you can bring in from the outside to bring into the inner circle? So there's different levels to how you put your circle of support in. Gaps in the section are okay. It gives insight into where work needs to be done on building and strengthening connections. So again, I apologize for the noise in the background because I have people working here.
Now.
So
Okay.
next slide, please. How many people should be in a circle of support? There should be no rule, no set rule on the number. They can go from, let's say, 4 to 10. It all depends on the client and what their precise needs are. A circle might, yeah, for 5. Keep the size manageable. You definitely want to do that. You don't want to put too much strain or stress on yourself or the people that are involved. Everyone has a chance to contribute. Not so many opinions, it becomes difficult to agree. So in other words, too many cooks spoil the broth. You know what I mean? So sorry for the loud noise again. So I apologize. Go ahead, Rachel.
All right. So what if you have no one to ask? And we've heard this from people saying, I'm not sure who I could even invite. And we want to say this is okay if you think you don't have anyone to ask. This is an opportunity to really focus on expanding the person's network. So if you remember at the beginning, we talked about those different circles. So this might be an opportunity to develop that circle of participation, right? The people that you're involved with, maybe just out in your community or at work or volunteer or the faith community that you go with. So you might need to work on just building that foundation there, those connections there before you invite people in to be a part of a circle. And that's okay. Other ideas of what to do if you feel like you don't have anyone present to ask, you could think about reconnecting with people from the past who you were involved with that might be happy to get re-involved again. So I'm going to pass it over now to Phoebe, who's going to talk about the role of being a paid facilitator and who actually did a lot of work of trying to build up someone's circle of participation.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit about my own experience with my role as a paid facilitator. As was mentioned before, typically circles of support are made up of volunteers and strictly just volunteers. It's meant to be voluntary on a long-term basis. But it was found that although we wish that everybody would always stay involved and follow up on their part in a circle, sometimes that doesn't happen. And so it was found that having a paid facilitator as part of a circle can help to keep that circle together, to help everyone stay on track with the meetings, stay on track with follow up. But also, as Rachel mentioned, they can also act as a connector. And so if someone does not have many people in their life to ask initially, if they do a relationship map and we see there's not that many people to invite, we think about, okay, who else might really appreciate getting to know this person? We can think about reconnecting from the past and building that circle of participation to get to know the person, to eventually invite them into a circle of support. And so I am newer to the role of being a paid facilitator, helping to develop a circle of support. I've been doing it for the past 2.5, 3 years or so now. And it is a slow process. And so I want to share that building relationships takes time. And so in this process of sharing a little bit of my story with Rune and developing his stories, just making note, this is the beginning really of the process of developing his circle of support. So I'm sharing with you sort of the initial steps we've taken to start that.
My name is Roon, R-O-O-N. I am 42 years old, loves to sing. I visited 50 countries. Last year, I went to Poland, Germany, Czech Republic. I like to paint. I like to sell the greeting card, prints, and make some money. I like to buy your own house, saving money to buy your own house, independent own house.
My name is Ashim Das, and this is my son Roon. Both me and my wife are his only kind of immediate family and the extended family. We don't have any other family in this country. So it's always in the back of our mind that, we are getting up in our ages, and once we are not there, he's going to be kind of by himself. So we need to create some kind of support network for him.
My name is Phoebe Goodman, and I am a paid circle of support facilitator. It's my job to think about who might be in Rune's past that we could potentially reconnect with, and also think about who else might appreciate Rune's gifts and connect him to new people. I'm able to help Rune connect through shared interests and meet other people that he might be interested in getting to know and would be interested in getting to know him.
Introduce a lot of people.
He's, I think, currently talking to two people. One is Rebecca, another one is Max, and I think they are scheduling some, activities together.
I get to help people think about how they can be involved in Rune's life. So if they feel unsure, like I have my own family and a really busy life, and I don't know how I could fit it in and also do right by Rune, for example. I can then talk to that person and we can brainstorm and think about how to make it comfortable so that they don't feel overwhelmed by this idea of being part of a circle of support. And it's also a less vulnerable position as a paid facilitator to make invitations. So if a family member wants to invite somebody from the past, like an old teacher or coach, to become re-involved in their adult daughter or son's life, that can be a vulnerable ask to make of someone to be involved, to want to stay involved long term as part of a circle. But because I'm outside of the family, I don't have the same connection and level of vulnerability. So as I'm outreaching and connecting with people, if I get a no, it's not painful for me to take that no. Whereas for a family, that would feel really different to get a no.
Comes, takes you, do fun things. He likes to take you concerts.
One of the first times that Rune and I went out on our own without Ashim with us, we decided to go to a traditional Indian dance night. And Rune loves traditional Indian music and dance. And we thought this would be an awesome way to get to know other people. And also, Rune would be my teacher in that setting. I would be the one that wouldn't know the dance moves. And so he'd be showing me how to do everything. So we got all dressed up in beautiful traditional Indian wear. Rune had a beautiful outfit on. I had a silk dress, and we looked really nice for a traditional Indian dance night. We went to the Voc Tech High School where this event was going to be held, which you would imagine can hold hundreds of people. So we didn't think about registering beforehand. And when we got there all dressed up, we found out that the event was totally sold out, no room at the door. And so we are dressed to the nines with nowhere to go, but we wanted to still do something. We were all dressed up and we wanted to go do something. We called Ashim and said, what could we go do for a night on the town together? And Ashim found that there was a Pink Floyd cover band playing. And this is with it's a laser show. It's a sold out concert, but they had 2 seats left. But because we got these last minute tickets, Rune and I couldn't sit next to each other. Rune had to sit one row in front of me and I sat one row behind him, which actually meant I was kind of out of the way. It allowed people to sit on both sides of Rune and interact with him during the show. And what I got to see from my angle is during the show, Rune just rocking out, loving the music, his infectious smile and enthusiasm and loving the music and being in the moment was spreading to the people next to him. And then I noticed this young couple to the side went over, gave him a fist bump and a rock on to him, which he loved, lit up, smiling about it. And we were at that show until almost midnight. We had so much fun. And after we left, after the show ended and everybody was kind of grabbing their stuff and going out, I watched that young couple introduce themselves to Rune and give him another fist bump and talk about how awesome the show was with him. And as soon as Rune and I got outside and we could kind of hear each other again outside the noisiness of the theater, the first thing Rune said is, they talked to me. That was what he was most excited about, is that this couple wanted to chat with him and share the excitement of the show. And Rune managed to have just an incredible experience seeing that people do want to talk to him. He doesn't need me next to him. He doesn't need his dad next to him. That just Rune is enough. His energy alone was enough to draw people in to talk to him.
Phoebe took you to country dance, helped you with the art show.
So we've had the artist meet and greet last summer, which ended up being a really nice way for people in Franklin to get to know Rune as an artist, and had his artwork on display at the Unitarian Church all summer. And then at this meet and greet, people could come and meet the artist behind these gorgeous, gorgeous paintings that are up on display. And since then, we've gone to line dancing there at the UU, and people now know him by name. We clean up afterwards, put the chairs back, and he's seen as a helper and part of that community. So it's a slow process. And eventually, I would hope to invite more people who are from that Unitarian church as part of Rune Circle eventually. But it just takes time. So I'd say the challenge is being patient and understanding that this is sort of a marathon, not a sprint, and that the value is in developing these relationships that are going to sustain long term.
The paid facilitator is a good, good approach, because this person's responsibility is exclusively to do this. But if it's all voluntary, you cannot kind of force them. If they want to do it, they do it. If they don't want to do it, don't want to do it, right? But this is the Phoebe's job, right? And she's going to take it seriously, and that'll be also a continuum. of, the whole process.
My commitment is that I will stay connected to Rune and his family long term. And as a paid person, I will make sure that all of the people who eventually are a part of Rune's circle stay committed to what their responsibilities are as volunteers who are part of his circle. Instead, I'm ensuring that circle stays together and that people are following up on behalf of Rune in the long run. And I love the idea of being around for the long term with the family. So, inviting people to join a circle of support, asking people to be more involved in someone's life can feel kind of daunting and a little bit uncomfortable. But it requires that invitation in order for people to be involved. As Rachel talked about earlier, it doesn't just happen naturally. So we need to figure out a way to get the gumption up to do that and make those invitations. And to remember that you're not asking for yourself, you're asking on behalf of someone else who needs your help in developing life opportunities and networks. And not thinking about this request to join a circle as a burden, but rather we're inviting people to contribute in a really positive way in someone's life. And oftentimes people really respond positively to that and feel very honored that you would entrust them in that way and invite them into that role in that person's life. Another way to feel a little bit less like these invitations can be daunting is to be prepared. The earlier we had that relationship map, which can be helpful in thinking about planning who to make an invitation to. But being prepared and thinking about it ahead of time can really ease anxieties about making invitations. When you're inviting someone, you want to think about, you want to be really clear with the person. So why you're starting a circle of support, the intent around that, what's required of circle members, and then the who, when, and where. So determining who does the asking, when, and where. So that could be done by a paid facilitator. That could be done by a family member, depending on the situation. It could be after folks spend some time together casually, a natural time together. So it's good to think about ahead of time when this would take place, who would say what, and where it would be done. It's also okay to get no's. A longtime mentor of mine from the citizen advocacy realm, Tom Duty, always says that a good no is better than a bad yes. So getting a no up front is better than people saying yes, but not really wanting to be involved or being able to be involved. We'd rather know up front. And then it's okay if it's a no because there's more people to invite, other people. And then the element of following up. So following up with the verbal ask, written invitation with details in it so people really understand what's expected of them. And as mentioned before, if you're starting this process a little bit earlier on and the person doesn't know folks particularly well and you're developing new connections, that would be part of what you're considering is them getting to know each other, making sure it's a good fit, and that person at the focus person would want to invite them into their circle long term.
Great. So we're gonna go back now that we've dealt with explaining what a circle is and why it's important and how to invite people. We want to talk about actually structuring these meetings. So in the stuff when you want to set it up, what this involves and entails. So Warren's gonna take
Well,
this.
just keep them out right now, as a matter of fact.
So structuring the meeting consists of how often regular meetings are necessary to be effective, and once every 6 weeks or 2 to 3 months, depending on the sizing and how important it is to the client. How long? Meetings usually take about an hour to 2 hours. People are volunteering their time, so you don't want to go over. You want to make the environment as friendly possible and fun fulfilling at all times, so that way you want everybody to continue coming back and being a part of it. Location is the key. So where circles often take places in most people's homes, they can be held anywhere as long as the setting is comfortable and private. So you want to make sure that the surrounding areas are as peaceful as they can be and accessible to both yourself, the people involved, and your client.
Great, yeah. And these are not, stuffy formal meetings. These are supposed to be really an opportunity for people to work together and connect. And so we've heard examples of people that have, a tea party at the end of it, or people share a meal at the end or during. So again, it does not have to be formal and stuffy. It should be a feel-good experience, but yes, with a goal in place.
So, in this part of this, involving the person with the disability in their circle. Number one, encourage the focal person. Hold on, you guys. Okay, so back to what I'm saying. Sorry for the interruption, you guys. Encourage the client, the focused person's involvement. Different people want to be involved in different ways. Number two, some participate throughout the whole meeting. And then last but not least, others are there just to be a part of introductions and then do the social or meal times. So again, I apologize for the noise in the background, everybody. So, um, now the next part of this is how to run a circle meeting. Number one, circle members take on roles. Roles can be filled by anyone, not just by family members, and they also can be rotated. Circle of the support roles, you have the chairperson, facilitator, who leads the meeting and keeps it on track. The minute note taker takes and shares the notes. The scheduler schedules and reminds about the meetings. And then the agenda ensures meeting has structure and doesn't go over time. May want to send out a reminder ahead of time so participants can come prepared.
Great. Oh yeah, and I just want to say one thing here. I know Phoebe spoke a lot about being a paid facilitator, and that is one option, but not all circles have paid facilitators. Sometimes they go entirely voluntary. Sometimes it's just the family that wants to take the lead in running it. Sometimes it's just other people who are involved. So there's many different options here. Okay, so now that you're, doing your meeting, you're having it, you're running it, you want to make sure that you have minutes, notes taken throughout, and action items by the end, right? So minutes are really important in case you have circle members who maybe couldn't be there, or just to help as a reminder, because it might be the 6 weeks, 2 months in between, so a reminder of what you discussed. And then also helping with that accountability of who said what and was going to do what by what point. And they don't need to be full on formal notes. It could just be bullet points, but just something to keep track there. Some circles do use social media. Some have a circle Facebook page or a website, or there's some other apps where you can put your minutes up there or the tasks that people are supposed to do. So there's a lot of tools out there to use. And then by the end of each meeting, you want to make sure your decisions are written up as action items. So you want to know who is doing what and by when. Again, this helps with that accountability and the tracking, and make sure that your circle is actually moving forward and meeting the goals of the person that everyone is supporting. Okay, Warren?
Okay, so along with things to do list. You want to celebrate the successes. It's easy to get caught up in the to do list and targets, but it's also important to recognize and celebrate the successes of each step that the client takes.
Okay. And I just want to share with you some best practices for successful circles of support. So there's a whole list here, and so not all of them does your circle need to have, but just knowing these are features that help it. So a long-term commitment from people involved really helps it, right? This is not a one and done thing. Um, Awareness that there's not going to be a quick fix, right? A lot of times it does involve laying that foundation and the many steps to getting to where you're going towards. Creative brainstorming and honesty, having an environment where people feel like they can throw out all ideas there, even if they might be impractical, but then you never know what comes from that idea, right? So you want to create that environment. Time to build trust and learn together. Um, Oftentimes we've heard from people in circles of support that not only is the focus person getting support, that a lot of times other members who are part of this are getting support from each other, right? So they develop these relationships. You want to use people's gifts and wisdoms. This is why having a variety of people involved in the circle is great. A sense of optimism that that problems can be solved, and then people to facilitate the process, whether it's the paid facilitator or family or a volunteer facilitator or people rotating it. You really want to make sure that there's someone keeping you on track. Having time to enjoy being with each other. It should be a fun experience, right? Accepting new ideas, being open to change, and shifting if things are not working out. Coming up with a common dream or vision, and these might shift over time too. You might start off with one vision, and then it moves as the circles working together. Like I said, accepting failures, moving forward, having this diverse spread of ages. As we spoke, it was useful to have someone of the focus person's age, but it's also useful to have people younger, older, right? Everybody brings new insights and values and gifts. And then we want to, again, celebrate the achievements. It's so important to do that. So what we are going to do is we're going to finish off with a final video from Cheryl about taking the first step for circle support. And then we'll open it up to questions because we have a little bit a little bit under 15 minutes for questions.
So, right now, we can start by committing to opening our hearts and minds to the idea that we all deserve to have all sorts of people in our lives, that our loved ones are capable of loving and being loved. And from there, the rest is just planning and providing opportunities. It's not that easy. I don't mean to make it sound easy, but that's what it's all about. What we need to know is that we need to, like I said, over and over, approach this concept and idea with intention. And we need to remember that circles of support are natural, but also necessary. Building a circle of support for your loved one is the most important gift that you can give to that person. Best of luck. Thank you.
Okay, so we want to just open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions for any of us or about the process of setting up a circle of support, we are happy to do that. And I also want to make sure that we have time to just share our survey to Jackie.
Okay,
So,
so we do have a couple of questions I think would be good to share with the whole group.
okay, I'm just gonna, so we can see faces maybe.
Good. Okay, so how does a family start working with Phoebe or someone like her? Where do you find someone who would be a facilitator?
All right, Phoebe, you want to take that one?
So there are some organizations that exist that focus on developing circles of support, and then also help with that process of connecting families to facilitators. And then there's also I've heard about folks kind of freelancing, putting up their own ads and seeking. And then there's always the sort of voluntary option too, if not a paid person to help facilitate. I don't know if other folks had more on that.
And Phoebe, are you taking on any more positions as a paid facilitator? I know it's time consuming.
I'm not. I'm focusing on just building Rune's circle at this time. So I'm not looking to take on that responsibility for other folks right now.
Well, kind of a follow-up to that is there an age when it's most conducive to start a circle of support?
I mean, there's no set age. It's not, I mean, a lot of times we see people do things around transition time, right? And not just transitions turning 22, but any transitions in your life, right? So that tends to be when people start thinking about, oh, I want to come up with a plan or a circle. But people have circles of support for young children. They have for teenagers. So any age is fine. I think you just have to have a vision for what type of life, right? That the person you're supporting, right, with them, to have a sense of that. And obviously, if you're dealing with a younger child, parental voice and involvement is going to be much more guiding things than when you're dealing with someone who is an older child, teenager, or an adult.
I think it doesn't matter if the child is low functioning or high functioning. You have to, as a parent, you have to know what's best for your child at their pace. It's all about timing, patience, being open-minded, and being optimistic all at once. As a parent, um, you're gonna make the difficult choices and what you think is right. But at the same token, keep in mind it's not to diminish anything about your child. It's actually to boost up the confidence level that they have within themselves and you as a parent and as the leader of the circle.
Right. And just responding to that question in there too about depending on people's limitations or functioning areas. You can have a circle for anybody. And as Warren said in a slide earlier, people can participate in whatever level they want to. Some people want to be involved throughout the whole circle, want to come with questions, want to provide the ideas. Other people just want to be there for the social or the introductions. Other times it might be, you as a parent, caregiver, or someone who's close to them have a sense of what the person really likes, what they are involved with, and so are helping to communicate on their behalf. I mean, I'm all for as much as the person wants to be involved to have them be involved, but there's no requirement for different types of involvement. And I see John has his hand up.
Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, and thank you for waiting so patiently.
Oh, that's okay. So I'm John Sousa. I'm calling from Rhode Island. I'm kind of calling to give you guys a little historical perspective. This whole idea of support networks started with Judith Snow in Canada, and it spread. And it didn't take long before all over Canada, there were organizations called plan organizations that created support networks. They were started by family members. And as far as I can tell, the first American network building organization was actually formed in Boston in collaboration with folks in Plan Canada in Vancouver, British Columbia. And they were called PAL, PALS, PALS. And they met regularly, and they actually invited folks from Canada to come down here and talk about what they were doing. And My wife was working on the project with the Shriver Center and looking at helping supporting aging families. And they had a hard time surviving. In fact, they ultimately decided they couldn't keep up the work, and they turned to Mark, and they became affiliated with the ARC. And for a while, the ARC in Boston ran some kind of support groups just to encourage people to develop these support networks. At some point, they disappeared. And I don't really know what happened, other than this is hard work and it's important. And unfortunately, everybody that I know of who is a parent, they always ask that big question. So what happens when I die? And nobody has a good answer for them. But I don't think it's possible to actually create a support network without an external support structure of some kind that provides not just, individual workers, but people who can actually make it possible for people to do this kind of network building. It used to be that everybody did support network building on a part-time basis.
John, can I ask, so somebody put in the question, they wanted to know, is there organizations where they could find a paid facilitator through? Is Plan Rhode Island, is that something that people in Massachusetts could reach out to do that? I know Phoebe is working through.
So yeah, Plan Rhode Island is, I think we're the last one in America, to be honest with you. And we had originally started just looking at working with families in Rhode Island, but we have been contacted by two families in Massachusetts. One of them Phoebe works for, and another one, the son of this mother lives in Woonsocket. The mother lives in Amherst. And they had a really nice little support network running, but unfortunately that's kind of fallen apart because everybody needs a network, but not everybody wants a network.
Yeah.
And sometimes the sons and daughters don't want this kind of intrusion in their life. In fact, we have in Rhode Island, we have at least one or two networks where the child in their 50s doesn't really want to be viewed as being so dependent.
Yeah.
And so the family and the network do things, we like to call this a stealth network. The group, it's a very active network. And we help them, keep it going. We have people who live in Massachusetts and who work for us here in Rhode Island. We are small. Right now, we have about 10 networks that we think are working pretty well. We've had more. We've had people who decided that, oh, I get it now. I can do this on my own. And some of them have discovered that they can't do it on their own. And we also have others who have gone away and then they've come back. And
I'm going to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off just because I know we're about to end at 1.
Yeah,
So
we have some closing. Yeah,
if there's some, yeah, I want to just quickly before we close, but I so appreciate what you are sharing with us. If anybody minds, those of you who are here, if you could just do a quick feedback survey, just helps us know how to improve our presentation.
I also think we should try to address the question by Heather. Would a paid facilitator be allowable flex funding expense through DDS or through self-direction? Do you guys know for sure about that? I think it would be, but I wanted to know if,
Yes, I'll answer it for you. Yes.
yes, okay,
Both
good.
in Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
And we do, I know we've got my survey comes at the end, so that'll be an email to you all, but I just have some closing remarks that I've got to do. Just in terms of, we host these informational webinars every month, and there are upcoming ones in the next few weeks that I think may interest you. I'm going to put that in the chat box. The links to these there's going to be one on, one I think is very interesting, September 4th, recapping state and federal updates, what's ahead for advocacy. On September 15th, join the ARC CEO, Maura Sullivan, and Government Affairs Director for behind the scenes of our advocacy work. And September 16, very important one, Know Your Rights, the DDS appeals process hosted by MA21. All the links are in there, but actually the best thing to do is just go on the ARC's website and sign up for our newsletter. And that's the first link, join us, the ARC of Mass. That will keep you informed about all our programming, advocacy, as well as our educational webinars. Again, I want to quickly thank our sponsors. A special thanks to our presenters, Rachel, Phoebe, and Warren, for all this information. And thank all of you for spending your precious time with us. And remind you, please take a few minutes and complete the surveys. We really do value your input, and we are going to do a better job when we hear back from you and the ways we can do that. Rachel, I don't know if you had anything in closing to say.
Yeah, I just saw that Vani, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, just wanted to know if you could start a circle with just family and then slowly build the number of people. And absolutely, you start with whatever, whatever you start with, whatever you have, you go and then you build from there.
Right.
Again, doesn't have to be a huge number of people. Anybody who's really invested in
And neighbors are
yeah.
also great, ways to start. People in your direct neighborhood who who've known your loved ones.
And Jackie will send out the survey for Pathways.
Our
And
survey
the
comes
email
out
too.
as an email. And do you have another one, Rachel, that you want to give me that we can send as an email?
Yeah, I'll send you this one, but in a link that people can click. And I see Arlene, you have your hand up. We can take maybe one more question.
Yes.
I've seen you present before, Arlene. You're fantastic. So I'm excited you're here.
Can one of you email me the QR code? Because if I do it now, it's not gonna be enough time for me. So I want
Absolutely.
to provide feedback to the server. I won't lose the QR code. It's better if you email it to me, please.
Absolutely. We'll email it as a link, and if people find QR codes, we can send it both. So we'll make sure that's out along
thank you,
with
Rachel, and thank you, Jackie.
no problem. And the slides will be sent out, the survey link, and a relationship circle map that we talked about. So everybody will have
What
that.
do you mean by the relation circle map? I need a clarification on that.
It's
That
the one. Yep. It's the one. Hold on, I can even show you it.
I think it's like the second to the third one. There you go, right
Are
there.
you able to see this, Arlene?
Yes.
Okay, that one. So people can work on that.
Yes.
And, all right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.